Hey everyone, it's Lisa Mears. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm so excited to share today's card featuring the Valentine card mini album die set from Scrap Diva Designs January release, which is all about Valentine's Day. While this set is originally designed to create a mini album, I've turned it into an adorable Valentine's Day card, and I made it a shaped card too. This die set features dies for two sizes of cars, a large one and a small one, and today I'll be using the larger car for my card. It's perfect for Valentine's Day, but it's also super versatile for any occasion like birthdays, Christmas, or really anything you want to celebrate. If you're interested in picking up this die set, be sure to check out the link in the description box below, and don't forget to use my code LISAMEARS at checkout to save 10% on your order. So I want to go ahead and measure the large car die for you. It is 5¼ inches wide and 4¼ inches tall. So this definitely could be used for a shaped card, and you can put it in an A2 size envelope. And moving over to the smaller car die, that one is about 3¼ inches wide, and the height of that one is about 2�5 inches. So I've already done some die cutting here. I'm going to show you the dies that I've used. I have the largest die, and I die cut that out of white cardstock. So that one would be the very bottom layer of cardstock. Next, I have the middle sized, or the next size up. This particular die has stitching on it, so it puts a really nice detail around the edge. And I die cut that out of gray cardstock, and you can see that that die, it layers nicely on top of the larger one. You can see all that stitching, really pretty. And then the next die, I die cut out of pattern paper. This is going to be the shape of your car. This is what you're going to see on the outside. So this one I did some pattern paper with some hearts on it for Valentine's Day, and you can see how that layers up nicely. And then whatever color you die cut that middle die with, that's going to be the window of your car. So I did the gray cardstock. If you wanted to do blue cardstock or something else, that's what you would use for the middle die. And then this smaller die is the rear of the car. You can cut that out of any color cardstock. Again, I use the same pattern paper. I am going to be popping that up on foam so that it gives a little bit of dimension. Now the pattern paper that I used is a Doodlebug collection. I love their paper. It's so cute, so that's what I've used here. And then I have the bumper I die cut out of some silver mirror cardstock. So I'm going to add some depth to my die cuts by adding some ink to the edges. Here I'm just using the Scrapbookcom Havana Red ink. I just chose an ink color that resembles the shade of the cardstock, and I'm just using a finger dauber just to put some ink along the edges of both of those pieces of pattern paper. You could already see the depth that gives to your pattern paper. And to give more depth and dimension, you can also add some foam like I did to the back, and then layer it on to that larger die cut piece. And as I was laying this down, I thought to myself that this would look super cute as a shaker card. So after adhering these two pieces together, I decided to take them apart so that I could turn this into a shaker. So I did remove the foam that was on that top curve of the car right above the window opening, and then I cut a piece of acetate about to size. I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on the back side of that curvature in the car, and I'm going to add the acetate. You can see I do still have the foam on the bottom. Now in reality, if I would have planned this a little bit better, I would have waited to put the foam on, but again, this was an afterthought. So here I'm just turning the car over, and I'm just trimming off the excess acetate. And you can see that that acetate, it does cover that window, which is going to allow me to make this into a shaker. So now I'm just going to take some foam, add the foam to the rest of the back side of this car shape. I'm going to add it over the top of the window, making sure that it's all connected at all ends of the foam, and then I'm going to put some of my clay confetti from my stash inside. Now I have this clay confetti that is heart-shaped. It has some reds and pinks and whites in it, so I'm just going to add some to the inside of this window, and then I'll add that gray layer right over top. And that's going to seal all of that confetti inside. And look how cute that is. I love that. Now I do realize that not everyone likes to make shaker cards, so just keep in mind that you can totally still use this die without turning it into a shaker like I was initially going to do. So now this piece I did put some foam on the back, and I'm just adding it to the back side of that car. You can see the dimension there. Now before I continue, I do want to remind you that this die was made to be a mini album. So here's where you would take this gray piece and you can poke holes with a hole punch in this gray piece of this section right here, and that's where your album rings could go. And then for the pages in your album, you can simply use these two dies to layer up some cardstock and pattern paper, and that's what the pages would look like. So the front would be the car shape with the shaker, and then your inside pages would be the largest two dies that are layered together. You can use pattern paper like I did, or you don't have to. It's up to you. You can even put one of these pieces on the back side of the car so that when you open the album, you have that pattern paper. Now, as you know, I'm not making this a mini album. I am making this a shaped card. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to make this a card. But before I do, let me show you this other die, which is the tires that I die cut out of this black cardstock. And those tires can just be placed underneath the red pattern paper right on top of that gray strip. But I'm going to go a step further and trim off the gray cardstock that it's extending below the car, because I personally don't like the way that looks for a card. So I'm going to go ahead and just take out a large pair of my scissors, and I'm just going to cut the gray cardstock so that it's flush with the pattern paper. And then I'm going to take those black tires and I'll be able to add some glue to those, and I'm just going to stick them behind that piece of pattern paper. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue along the top edge, and then I'm just going to slide them inside of that layer right behind the pattern paper. And I'll do the same thing for the other tire. And then I'm even going to turn this car over and then just press it down just to make sure I have a really good seal on the tire to the cardstock. So next I'm going to add the bumper to the car, and I am putting some foam behind it because I did add the other part of the car with foam, so I need it to be level with the other layering piece that's right above it. Next, I'm going to decorate this car. I have this particular die. This will add the brake lights. As a layering die, it has a circle, and then the top part is a heart shape. So I'm just going to layer these two pieces together. I die cut the circle out of some red mirror cardstock, and then the heart shape out of it's a hot pink cardstock from my stash, and I'll just layer those together. I want to include a large sentiment on the back of this car, so I am going to be bringing in the Valentine Words number 3, which was just released over at Scrap Diva Designs. There's so many fun sentiments, and I'm going to choose one that fits well on the back of the car. I think I'm going to use this Lots of Love sentiment, although this is just my sample, so I'm not actually going to use that one, but I am going to create one very similar to that. Only I am going to, instead of the red cardstock for the words, I'm going to use a red mirror cardstock so that it's nice and shiny and sparkly. I go ahead and add the brake lights to the car while the sentiment's just resting on there, because I want to make sure that I put them as far on the outside edge as possible so that when I add the sentiment, they are not hiding underneath it. But I also want to show you before I add a sentiment that this die also comes with the word love for a license plate, and you can die cut it out of a few different colors of cardstock because it will not only die cut the rectangle shape with the word love cut out, and then you can die cut it with another color cardstock and just insert the letters in the spots, and you can put that on your car as well. I think that's super cute too. So I'm not going to use that again. Instead, I'm going to use the sentiment. And what I love about these sentiments is that they have a few different layers, which makes them really neat, a lot of dimension because of the layers. So you have a large shadow layer that I die cut out of some teal cardstock. Then there's another layer I die cut out of white, and that white layer has stitching all around it. And then the words, again, I wanted it to look a little fancy and shiny and sparkly, so I added the words with the red mirror cardstock, and I think that looks so pretty, and that fits perfectly on the back of that car. So I'm going to go ahead and put some foam underneath that because I do want it to pop up. So I just die cut the shadow die out of some foam, and then I'm going to pop that on my car. This die also comes with some hearts. So there's some heart dies that I die cut out of some of the red mirror cardstock, some of the teal cardstock, some pink cardstock. I also use some of the small hearts for the brake lights. I'm just going to layer these hearts together. I'm going to end up with about 5 hearts that are all layered together. Some of the larger hearts are going to have 3 layers of hearts on them. I think I even have one with 4 layers of hearts. So it's just going to add some nice dimension to the hearts. And I'm going to put these hearts inside of the bed of the truck. So it's going to look like the bed of the truck is exploding with hearts, which is going to be super cute. Now, while I'm finishing this up, I do want to let you know that this die also comes with a steering wheel, and there was a die for the rear view mirror, which you can put inside of that window where all my shaker pieces are. But obviously, I didn't use that, so I do want to let you know that that was an option to put that in there. So I'm going to go ahead and add the hearts, and to make them stick inside the bed of the truck a little bit better, I'm just snipping off the bottom of each one of the hearts. That way they can be pushed down inside the bed of the truck and they'll be laying flat inside there. So I'm going to add the larger one in the middle, and then I'll add 2 medium-sized ones, one on each side of the larger one. And then I have 2 smaller pink hearts, and those are going to go in front. So as I said earlier, this is going to end up being a shaped card. And to make my card base, I'm just taking a piece of 8.5" by 11" cardstock. I folded it in half, and then I'm taking the largest car die and placing the top of that die so it's slightly over the fold in the cardstock. I'm just going to trim off the excess here, and then I'm going to run that die through my die cutting machine, and that gives me the card base. But before I add it to the card base, I do need to add this card to the white shadow layer, which I already have die cut. So I'm just going to add that to the shadow layer. But before I do, I am going to trim off the bottom of that white part. You can either use scissors or a paper trimmer. I ended up using a paper trimmer just to make sure I get a really straight line. And then I'm going to add my car that is finished. I'll add that piece to the white shadow layer. You can see that it does put a little bit of a white edge around the car. I'm also going to take the card base that I die cut earlier, and I'm going to trim off that same piece. And then I'll add the finished car to the card base. Now keep in mind, if you don't want to do any of the trimming like I did, taking off the extra cardstock, you don't have to. This is still going to fit in an A2 size envelope, whether you have that extra cardstock on there or not. But for me personally, I just don't like the way that looks with having that extra cardstock underneath the tires. So you can see that this card, it does stand up on a table. So if you wanted to display it on a table, you can. And I think this turned out super cute. So once again, I will have product links down in the description box of this YouTube video. I'll also have them linked on my coordinating blog post, which you can find that link in the description box as well. And if you're interested in this product, be sure to use my code Lisa Mears at checkout to save an additional 10%. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like videos like this and want to see more, make sure you click that subscribe button. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.